Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I'm Razzle and you can find me on X at Razzle11grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, the 24th of May. It is Saturday. We do have an 8-game main slate today to go with a 5-game evening slate. For the most part, weather seems to be alright. I do have some concerns about the Colorado game. I know our initial weather station had it pretty low. I think the risk has gone up a little bit, but Colorado, arguably the best ballpark in navigating weather. They almost never postpone games. So, with that in mind, I think we should expect it to play, but it is the one game that actually worries me more than any other one. Some light winds around the league. Pittsburgh out to center is pretty strong. In Washington's pretty strong. And then one other game off the top of my head, kind of colder and windy. It is 60, but I think it's going to be in the lower to mid-50s, really, in the Chicago-Texas game. Pretty good spot for pitching, to be honest. Colder in Detroit, very interesting. Cooler in New York as well. So, Boston, it's going to be a tough one to figure out because it is game 2 of a doubleheader, and we have two not-so-great pitchers going with very little information as far as props, betting numbers, etc. But, reminder, this is a first look at pitching options, and I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you do play on FanDuel, I'll cut my pool in half or so. You don't have to be as creative. Pricing isn't quite as tight. It allows you to get the stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. Not that we have many upper tier-ish pitchers today, but we work with what we have in front of us. So, let's jump into this 8-gamer. Windy in Washington, so it is intriguing enough. I just wish we could use Kyle Harrison, but one-time top prospect has been pitching out of the bullpen more since he was recalled. He spent all April as a starter in the minors, but he's just not lengthened out at all at the major league level. Just don't think we can rely on him at this point, which is a little annoying since San Francisco is favored in the game. But he does have a K prop of 4.5 juice to the under. Same thing with Jake Irvin, but he's lengthened out and pitching in this weather with the wind blowing in. So I am intrigued. He's plus 220 to earn the W, which is a frustratingly low number, but still. His performance is kind of all over the place. Like, he could strike out 0, he could strike out 6. Like, walks kind of jump up and down too. He has shown stretches back-to-back nearly 30 fantasy point starts earlier this season, so I do like the upside, and based on the options we have, I do think that Jake Irvin's in play. Brewers, Pirates. As much as we've been picking on the Pirates with pitching, I just can't do it with Quinn Priester. I'm sorry. Revenge narrative spot for him, maybe, but just no strikeouts, walks. Just doesn't do things that we need our starting pitcher to do from a fantasy perspective. Mitch Keller, intriguing. I do think the Brewer bats might be waking up just slightly, but Keller's been pretty good the last couple starts. His K-prop's 4.5 juice to the under. The Pirates are minus 115 favorites. He's plus 195 to earn the W. So I think he's in play. I just don't love it, which you're going to hear me say quite a bit in this video. Next game, San Diego, Atlanta. Michael King, obviously in play. Plenty of upside with his Ks, etc. But he can get a little volatile. A walk or two, and then a home run happens, and he's given up 3 runs. So, but we see when he is on what kind of pure upside he offers. Over 40, nearly 44 fantasy points with a complete game shutout. 35 fantasy points, pitching just 5 innings against Cleveland. So the upside and ceiling is there. Arguably the top ceiling on this particular slate. Definitely going to be an option for us. Game total of 9 in this one, juice the under. But King's K-Prop's 5.5 juiced under, which is tied for the third best K-Prop. He is plus 175 during the W, while Holmes is plus 230. K-Prop of 4.5 juiced to the under. It's not overly exciting, but the San Diego bats have struggled of late. So getting them at the right time is key, and Holmes does get that. I'm just not really in love with the idea of using Holmes, who's given up 8 home runs over his last 5 starts. Walks have been up. Strikeouts kind of come down since that 9. I think he's more in the 4 to 5 range, which kind of aligns with his K-Prop at 4.5 juice to the under. So Holmes kind of borderline, but based on the way that San Diego has swung it recently, he's probably a better play than even like Jake Irvin, who's just I think Holmes is a better real life pitcher, so take that for what it's worth. Jack Leiter versus Jonathan Cannon. Leiter gets a plus matchup. K-Prop of 4.5 juice to the over. He's plus 155 during the W, which is roughly third best on this slate, behind Fried, who doesn't have one listed, but the Yankees are such massive favorites. And then Wu is plus 120. Leiter is never a comfortable roster. Walks, control issue, home runs can happen, etc. But he's a solid favorite. Game total of 8 in this one, which I believe is the second lowest total on the slate. So he's going to be in play. On the other side, Cannon might be in play as well. Texas lineup has had some struggles for much of the year. He has gone for 20 plus in 2 out of his last 5 starts. Would have approached 27 fantasy points if he got the W against Cincinnati in a game that the White Sox did win. So the upside's there for him. K-Prop's 4.5. It's basically a pick 'em. He is plus 235 to earn the W, which is worse than Jake Irvin, worse than Grant Holmes. But I still think he's viable, given that it's going to be a little cold and windy in Chicago. I think the atmosphere for pitching is a little better in that spot than, say, Grant Holmes in Atlanta. Volatile spot for a pitcher here. Andrew Abbott has been phenomenal when pitching at home so far this season. Just 2 earned runs in 20 innings. He's been just excellent across the board. Just one rough start. Tough opponent in the Cubs, that's for sure. But I think Abbott has plenty of upside. So I think he's going to make my pull despite the Cubs being favored in this one. Abbott's plus 230 to earn the W, which is similar to Holmes. His K-Prop's 4.5 juice to the over. I do think there's upside, so I will utilize him. It's just there's plenty of downside in the spot against that Cubs offense. Max Fried in Coors. We're still going to use him. We're using pitching against Colorado. They could be on the moon. I'd say that, but it doesn't make sense because when you throw the baseball, it's basically not going at any speed at all. So, but yeah, Max Fried is a minus 325 favorite. K-Prop is 6.5 juice to the under, which is tied with Framber Valdez for the top K-Prop on the slate. Don't think we need to say much. I'm not sure if Fried has ever pitched in Coors. I'll have to look into that later, but it's been about as steady as they come from the pitching department on the season. Seattle-Houston, probably the best pitching match. I shouldn't even say probably, is the best pitching matchup on the slate. Probably the most important one as well. Framber Valdez has just one clean start, not allowing a run this season, which ironically came against Seattle. He has been pretty solid at home. Walks are up though, but traditionally I believe he's just been better when he's at home. I love the upside. It's obviously dangerous. Seattle is a dangerous offense, but there are strikeouts. They may not be striking out as much as they did last season, but the strikeouts are still there against left-handed pitching. 23 plus fantasy points in 4 out of his last 5 starts. Coming in great form. Plus 235 during the W, which seems really, really odd. considering this game's a pick'em and Woo is at plus 120. I think that's a mistake, and I wouldn't be shocked if that number plummets to the, 170 range, 175 range at this point. There's a lot of value in that if you're into betting. I would take the win odds at plus 235. Brian Woo on the other side. K-Prop 5.5 juice the under, which is tied for the third best with Michael King on this particular slate. Not a great slate for pitching. Woo definitely in play. I believe he's pretty strong against right-handed bats. Just like Valdez, 23 plus fantasy points in 4 out of his last 5 starts. Great spot to be in. Plus 120, like I said, during the W. Game total just 7.5 in this one. The lowest on the slate. Last game on this slate, Baltimore-Boston. I don't have much information on these guys. Rogers has been bad in the minors. Giolito has some rough starts. But both offenses strike out a ton. Boston's going to be potentially without Bregman, who's not in the lineup for game 1. So both guys are going to make the short list. I have to dig into them more just because I don't want to blindly play either pitcher because they just aren't very good. Evening slate, we got about 3 minutes to get into this one. Shane Baz gave up a couple home runs to Toronto recently. Home runs have been an issue. Strikeouts have been down. Walks have been up. I don't really want to use Baz, but we might be forced to on this slate. Both pitchers in this game have K-props of 4.5 juice to the over. Tampa Bay is a minus 118 favorite, but Barrios is plus 155 to earn the W, while Baz is plus 205. Barrios got knocked around by Tampa Bay. I kind of predicted that, I believe, before that. I don't know that I want to go to him in this ballpark. Obviously, it's generally been warm in Tampa Bay, and it's almost 90 again, with winds slightly blowing out. Probably a good spot to fade pitching, but given the slate, I had to consider them. Tigers, Guardians. We have Mize, who does not have any props yet, potentially making his return. We have to verify that he is back, but I do like him. If he returns, we just need more information. So he's probably going to be in my pool, but we'll get some updates as the day goes on. Luis Ortiz, somebody who's surprised me quite a bit. Plus 215 to earn the W, which is kind of high. K-prop of 4.5 juice to the over, which is tied for third on the slate. Obviously not the greatest slate, but game total of 8 juice to the over. He's thrown the ball really well in 3 out of his last 4 starts. Strikeouts have been up the last 2. I do like the spot. It's a volatile spot. Detroit has power, but there are going to be some strikeouts somewhere in that lineup. So I think Ortiz has plenty of upside. Peterson against the Dodgers. Left-handed pitching is kind of how I would attack the Dodgers, but Peterson's not overly exciting. With that said, the slate isn't overly exciting for pitchers. Peterson plus 180 to earn the W. Peterson and Gonsolin both with K-props of 4.5 juice to the over. Game total of 9 juice to under. The Mets are slight minus 125 favorites. I think Peterson's going to be worth a sprinkle, and I think Gonsolin's worth a sprinkle. Coming off of a rough start, but 2 out of his 4 starts have seen him go for 20 plus. The Mets' bats overall have struggled recently. I talked about it yesterday on the video, and their bats didn't exactly wake up last night either, so I think Gonsolin is in play. Christopher Sanchez going to be in play against the A's. Volatile spot, but I like Sanchez's upside. K-prop of 5.5 juice to the over, which is tied with Soriano for the number 1. And he's minus 105 to earn the W, which is easily the best on the slate. Second best on this slate to earn the W is Soriano, like I mentioned, tied with the best K-prop with Sanchez at 5.5 juice to the over. Soriano, a volatile guy, allows a lot of base runners, but he gets the Marlins. Decent spot, despite it being just him not being a great pitcher overall. I think it's one that we're just going to end up over-owned on. But there we have it. There's our first look at pitching for today's action. If you enjoy what it brings you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. Get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. And if you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc. I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.